Start streaming.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Hello.
Hello.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, not what you don't.
Ah, that's hot coffee. That is very, very hot coffee. You know it. And it's another morning, 4:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the former United States. It's a Friday TGIF for some of you, those remaining in the workforce. 22nd of October, 2021, if we can believe that it is the year 2021.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Good morning.
Yeah, get up and taste the coffee. Mine is hot. I'm staring at those two rocks that came out of my teeth. It rained last night. It's going to rain for the next week or the indefinite period of time. The ongoing thing. You know, there's a whole new thing happening now. This is outside my front porch yesterday. Now, any regular followers of mine would know that this almost looks like a blast from the past. They dug up the street again. They dug up the street again. The same spot. This is like the fourth time. I've had to pay a plumber because the shaking of all of this ridiculous construction actually loosened and messed up a pipe. The guy had to help put a whole new fixture on it. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for a gas furnace guy to come in because I've got some problems with that. I'm waiting for the whole neighborhood to just blow up because if the water lines are breaking, pipes are breaking, when are the gas lines going to break? Now, this isn't even under, this, if I could point that way. This isn't even under Build Back Better because they didn't even pass that bill yet exactly. This is just showing you the type of contracting firms that they'll be using. Basically, they don't know what the heck they're doing. Yeah, it's a generalization, okay? That guy doesn't know what he's doing. This contracting firm, they got all the accoutrement, all of the material, the outfits, the logos. They've taken over 2 lots with trailers and the whole thing, right? And they've been working for 2 years on one street. All they're supposed to do is fix a pipe. Just replace the sewer lines. Upgrade the sewer line. Simple thing. There's no complexity here. It's just a street. They can't do it. McDonald's is offering $21 for employees right now at some places. Do you imagine that? $21 for employees. Work at fucking McDonald's. Remember, I got into the thing. I think it's time that we all use profanity, like, very much, like every day, as many ways as we can. I don't like to talk about the news, but tell me if you don't think this. Okay, remember I told you there's something like 19, 20,000 homicides in the U.S. every year. Most of them go unsolved. Excuse me. They don't know who did it. People get away with murder. Then there's like 20,000 homicides. Slurp. Places like Chicago and New York, the unsolved murders are even high, or like at the higher. Okay, so they decided that they picked this blonde girl, all right, out of 20,000 people who get murdered every year. Forget about the other, families, right? 19,000 families, if you want to use the 19,000 figure. Friends, their relatives, those people. So this has been in the news now for what, a couple of months or longer? So they find this guy who they've been in the media basically accusing of killing this person. All right. Now you tell me, this sounds to me like a double homicide. All right. This is like the classic case of the story. Do you ever watch like that series You or something like that? There's a guy out there on the loose, and they just basically planted this guy down there and made it seem, they used their cell phones and, everything is wrong, and you don't know what you don't know. I don't know. It sounds fishy to me. I don't buy it. All right. I mean, I buy that they found the dude, but I mean, I doubt if he did it. I think this is a double homicide frame-up job, and that this person who did this is still out there. And this stupid thing, I hate this one word. I hate the fucking word, closure. Yeah, but women like me are still hunting for closure. Fuck you. Fuck you. Hunting for fucking closure. There's no closure in this fucking world. A bunch of psychopaths running this fucking government, running law enforcement, running the fucking CIA, NSA, DIA, all the bureaucratic agencies, and half the fucking corporations, and definitely big tech, right? And big pharma, whatever the fuck they're talking about, mixing and matching fucking things now that are supposedly patented and completely different. That makes you wonder, are they different? What are they? Right? You don't mix and match a freaking patented medical thing. Like, what the? I mean, are you that fucking stupid to just like hear that and go, oh, that's interesting. I guess that's all right. They're already allowing people to come in with mixed and match. How could it be? They supposedly developed independently and they have different patents. You can't mix and match. That's like saying, here, take 1 teaspoon of Robitussin with, with an Alka-Seltzer. Right? Or whatever. Or here, like open up a contact, nasal decongestant capsule, dump half of it out, and pour and then open a Dristan and crush a Dristan and put that powder in the other half of the capsule and take that and put that down your throat and drink it with, wash it down with, with NyQuil. I mean, how fucking dumb do they think people are? I mean, you fucking believe that? And then dementia guy takes questions from 7 Democrats. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about that guy? He's nobody. He's nobody. And then they're holding this guy Bannon in contempt of Congress, but Comey and Fauci, who lied multiple times in front of Congress, are basically getting paid by various media companies, for on-air appearances. You don't think that's funny? All right? You don't think that's funny? I mean, come on. Did you hear what I said? They want to hold some guy, has nothing to do with anything in contempt, but Comey, basically, like the dirtiest cop FBI fuckhead in the world, and Fauci, the biggest liar who basically created a bioweapon and released it on the world. And they're letting him, all right, those bastards are getting paid by the media.
This is really funny. Really funny.
I'll tell you. It's really fucking funny, man. You believe that? House Ethics finds substantial reason to believe 4 congressmen violated ethics law. I notice it's men. It's like, what about the women? Nancy Pelosi, didn't she have the dealings with Apple and her hubby got $5 million? And the whole funny thing about that stock thing is, that the fine's only $200, but they all made somewhere between, the people involved in this, men and women, and whatever in between they have in Congress now, have have made between $5 and like $9 million. The fine is $200, and for some reason, they have substantial reason to believe 4 men violated the ethics law. I mean, you got to be fucking kidding me. What's the title of this frickin' show? Why are you tormenting yourself? 10/22/21. Why are you tormenting yourself? All right, let's get to the weekend weather. Let's take a look at the Earth view here. Change the mode a little bit, and I'll pour a little more coffee in my mug. As you can see, there's some kind of blue clouds up top, and there's some white clouds down below. Some people are going to get rain, and some people are going to get sunshine. How does that for the weather forecast? You like that? You like that? You like that? You like that? That's right. I'm not working to grow my listening audience. I'm working to reduce it. I have no idea why these clouds are different colors. No idea whatsoever. All I can tell you is this. The eastern part of the United States and the northwestern part of the United States is in for basically a lot of rain and clouds. And the weather's going to be cold at night. Game over. Yeah, this is like ridiculous.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
Well, a lot of people don't know that me is you and you are me. How do I do that? I can do many things. It rained last night, and I did my thing. Let's see. My patch job, that's not it, the final one. But, it like moved. I found as I figured, a couple of new leaks in different spots. So if I would have hired that guy, he would have fixed the old spots and the newer spots would have. Because where there's a new leak in a spot that I needed a new roof. I don't really care anymore. I'm half awake. I should be sleeping, laying in bed. It's Friday. I haven't been able to get out of the house in like days because I've been prisoner here, held because some guy is supposed to come and fix my furnace. But I don't have a number of the guy. It's through some organization. I called them like the other day, 2 days ago, and they said, well, they're supposed to call you and set up something. I said, do I have to sit here by the front door waiting for them? Well, no, you don't have to sit there by the front door. But, I mean, the point is you have to be home for them when they come. Or I have to be home to get the call. Because otherwise I don't, See, this is this part of this cell phone slave society, too. It makes you a slave to this thing. Well, I don't have a cell phone that works outside. For some reason, the signal on the phone that I got is sporadic. And they replaced it 3 or 4 times, and it doesn't matter. So it's either I'm electromagnetically charged from the time I was, taken by aliens, or my superior brain or something is doing some kind of weird interference with it. Or I don't know. But whatever it is, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. Okay. So let's do something semi-sane, I guess. Just get this out of the way. All right, it's the music thing. Yeah, I'm not in a good mood. Who wants to watch a guy being like angry on the air? Who wants to watch a guy like this at all? Nobody. So why not? So I'll give you the persona you want. Right? That's Jagger said in that one movie. This performance. It's a performance. Everything's a performance. Anything you see on TV is a frickin' performance. You don't think that the people on TV, the news anchors and all those people are performing? They're performing. They're on a stage. It's a set. Right? They got makeup and lights and sound people, and cameras, action. Producers, technical directors, the whole thing is just ridiculous. Anyway, featured album of the day wasn't going to be this. I would like it to have been the album Chicago that's just like the silver album. All right? Or Chicago Transit Authority, we talked about yesterday. That was the first album by the band Chicago. All right? And that had Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is on it. However, I found that if in asking my voice assistant yesterday to play either of those two albums, but the third time it wanted to play something from Chicago, the Broadway play soundtrack, and started to. I'm like, stop. So finally I found out that Chicago had a couple have best of albums. All right? And so what you want to do, if you want to just explore the band Chicago, particularly the earlier music, before they got too really wacky, right? Like they were just pop crybaby rock, crybaby pop rock. All right? After Terry Kath died, I mean, it was just crybaby pop rock. And then their lead singer eventually went solo, and just had a whole series of hits of crybaby pop rock. Well, anyway, if you're interested in exploring the band before they created a lot of crybaby pop rock, check out, ask your voice assistant to play Chicago, Only the Beginning. The very best of Chicago, Only the Beginning album. And on that, you will get a lot of their earlier first couple of album hits. You know, they were chock full of hits, the first two albums. And so this Only the Beginning, you'll get a lot of that stuff. And it's a good introduction to Chicago for people that don't know Chicago. And it's a blast from the past for people who like remember the band, but like don't have their anything in the collection. So the very best of Chicago, Only the Beginning. Though I you know, Color My World is on there, which is one of their crybaby pop rock songs. But you know, it's like Stairway to Heaven, you know. After so many years pass by, you don't mind listening to it once more, right? But, you know, they played the Stairway to Heaven became so ridiculous that, like, nobody wanted to hear it. You had to take 10 years off. So it's been long enough now that you could probably stomach Color My World once. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't like it. Hear it again. I used to play it on the piano. I was in a band. We played Chicago. Anyway, that's that. Chicago, the very best of, but ask for Only the Beginning, because if you ask anything else, these useless voice assistant, whatever, you know, the Apple Citronella Candle with Siri or Echo Dot with what's her face, it ain't gonna help you out. So again, the sun is a source of light and heat and controls the climate, magnetic field. Have you, has anyone been looking, have you been watching, it's well over a month now, of that La Palma volcano that's shooting up like ridiculous? You know, and there are dozens of volcanoes going off right now. So we're already pretty much primed for a cooling planet with all this ridiculous amount of soot that's going up in the air. Not to mention the secret test experiments that you're not aware of. I mean, it's not like they're secret. They've been announced. It's just that the media hasn't covered it. You know, Bill Gates type things. They've been dimming the sun, putting particular matter up there. And the thing I showed you yesterday, these giant fans to take carbon CO2 out of the atmosphere. I mean, like, the trees are going to wither away. Plants and trees are just going to wither away. And the oxygen levels on this planet are going to start dropping. We won't be able to breathe. It'll be like high altitude type of shit. What's going on right now in the United States and the world? I mean, there's certain parts of the world. There's 8 billion people on the planet, so it doesn't really matter because half the people on this planet are clueless and just have no idea what the hell's going on. They have no access to any kind of information, right? They have no access to they barely have access to food and water. All right? Let alone know what the hell's going on. But those who don't know what's going on. Everything they know is wrong. And yeah, I'm tired. I don't even want to do this show. I was up in the attic earlier. You should see what I have on the bottom of my feet. I've got these like shoe cover things because I had tar or whatever the stuff was. I spent 3 days up in that attic working. I'm just tired of it all, you know? And I think there's a lot of people who are just fed up and tired with it all. And I think that's what these clowns, you know, this corporatocracy, this organized crime syndicate, Davos set, it really is counting on and was counting on. They weren't afraid of any kind, you know, all this fake stuff about, you know, January 6th thing. I mean, I don't know. I had the TV on. It was YouTube. I was watching that live, like as that unfolded, and I didn't see it. All I saw was a rally down the street, And then some people coming up and some goofball wearing a hat, you know, some kind of horns, who turned out to be some kind of like, you know, agent provocateur type of guy anyway. Some Capitol Police officer shooting some decorated Navy or military officer, whatever, or soldier, whoever she was. I forget what she was, decorated or not decorated, but I know she served about 14 years or something. That's decorated enough for me. I mean, you know, talk about these like ridiculous, crazy manufactured events. It's a building. Like, people forget that movie, you know, about in England, you know, with all the masks, the white mask thing, whatever the heck that was called. And towards the end of it, that speech where the guy go, "It's a fucking building." So what? You know what I mean? Besides, unlike Parliament and stuff like that, you know, if the ACLU was actually functioning as a civil liberties, you know, union type of organization, you know, one could argue that the people had the right to go in there if they wanted to anyway. You know, I always got a kick when I was that was another thing. I tell you these things when I was a kid. Like I would never accept when someone said, well, that's infinity, right? I'd be like, what? You're telling me you're an adult and you can't answer. You're saying, oh, there's no answer. There's no solution to that. That just goes on forever. What? And then I remember as I got older and being in cars, you know, driving around places. I used to drive around like the woods, looking for places to drink or something. And there'd be a fence somewhere. And it would say, U.S. government, no trespassing, U.S. government property. And I'd look at that. I'd be with somebody or some other people. And like to them, they, you know, no big deal to them. Like they just accepted it. But I was the guy going, what is it? Look, you see that sign? U.S. government property. I mean, were you guys paying attention in high school, you know, class? History, you know? There's no such thing. U.S. government property is our property. The Capitol is our property. You know? Those buildings are supposed to be open 24/7. We can go in anytime we want to, do whatever we want to. All right? I mean, you don't go in and break something. But I mean, you know, U.S. government property. As if that was like an affront against Nancy Pelosi or AOC or something. Screw them. They work for us. We pay their salaries. Like I'm just amazed how people just don't know anything about the government, about corporations, about the media, about basic medical, you know, information. I mean, but you went to school, like even if you didn't go to college, right? You were in like nursery school, preschool, kindergarten, 8 years of whatever Tommy Rot primary school and 4 years of college. I mean, you've somehow been taught by the system, you know, allegedly, right? For at least 14, 15, 16 years if you didn't go to college, if you went to college for like 20 years plus. So these people have been in the education system for like 20 years. And they don't have the basic understanding of biology, science, math, geography, their own history, the form of government they have, how it works, the planet, what CO2 is. People don't even know. I've talked to people. People don't even know that this is a nitrogen planet. Did you know that? I say to people, what's the biggest gas? What do you think the most prominent, highest concentration of gas in our atmosphere is? And because of the media, people will go CO2 is really high, I think, or they'll say oxygen. They think, right? I'm like, no, this is a nitrogen planet. People don't even know that. It's a nitrogen planet. How much CO2 you think there is in the planet, right? In the atmosphere? Well, a lot. I don't know, a lot. Well, what if I told you it wasn't 1%? Wasn't even 1%. It wasn't even like 1/10 of 1%. All right. What if I told you it's measured in like parts per million or whatever? What if I told you it's 0.004%? We have a climate crisis, and these people are afraid of CO2, which the trees and plants, right, flowers and crops all breathe, need to live to survive and thrive, and which in turn give us food and the air we breathe, okay, because they exhale oxygen. And CO2 is 0.004% of the atmosphere. It's not 1%. It's not 1/10 of a percent. It's not 1/100th of a percent. Okay, it's 0.004%. All right? And this invisible, minuscule gas, right? Yeah. And you fell hook, line, and sinker for that one, right? And what's this? Right? They don't even, like I say, how'd you ever get sunburn? Sweetie, darling, if you're down in Texas. Hey, darling, did you ever get sunburn? Where'd you get it? How'd you get it? Yeah, you got it from the sun. Because the sun's hot. The sun gives you the heat. Do you know vitamin D, you die without it. If you don't have vitamin D, kids don't get vitamin D, they get rickets. Older people don't get vitamin D, they get these bone problems. Osteo this, osteo that. Okay? You can get some vitamin D from some food and some supplements and stuff, but it just doesn't work. The sun basically turns on like 1,000 receptors in the human body. We basically, we're the same as plants in many ways. It's just a different process. But it's still a photosynthesis of sorts. Did you know that? No, you didn't fucking know that. And you got pissed off because I used the word fuck and then followed up by saying pissed off. Because we live in this like weird world of illusion. Right? Don't show a girl's tit. All right? Right? But a guy could walk around without a shirt on. What's the difference between my tit and some girl's tit? Nothing. Ask a girl, right? They get off on while looking at guys' tits. All right? Okay? Most guys are so fucking naive the way they're brought up. They don't even know that. Right? They know nothing about women. The freaking chair's falling down. I'm talking to nobody at 5:18 a.m. in the morning. I'm cursing at a freaking screen. You got to give me it's ridiculous.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, fucking surprise, fucking surprise. Gomer, that ain't my belly button either. You ever hear that joke? Right? And then he goes,
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
and that ain't my finger. Anyway, so people are fucking nuts. You know? They don't know what's going on. They don't know anything. How could you go to school for, 16 to 20 years and not know these things? Right? Look at this hat. Because of this hat. It's like an egg. You gotta laugh at yourself. You gotta laugh at yourself. You gotta sing songs and find filters. What kind of filters? I keep seeing these people talk about filters for all of these, like chroma key. Like I should supposedly. Well, that just takes me to nothing. I gotta remember where these things are. That's interesting. Key color spill reduction. Maybe I should go back to black and white. What's smoothness? Similarity. Ooh, that's interesting. I see. See, the idea is that you want to replace the background. And so I can take a color that's predominantly in the background and eliminate it. Go back to defaults on this. Let's see what else we got here. But yeah, I just can't apply LUT. What the hell is LUT anyway? All right, let's default that. Image mask, blend. And do they have some way of stretch image? None of this stuff really works, You have to get third channel things or do some kind of weird stuff. Resolution. I guess I don't want to mess with that. Bicubic. Undistort center of image when scaling from ultra wide. Forget that. Close. We'll just take it down to this. It should have went back to some kind of normalcy, but instead it's it's almost blurry, isn't it? I don't know why it's doing that. Color correction. Saturation. Yeah. See, something happened when I hit the chroma key and it didn't want to go back to where it should be. So I'm trying to add color. So even though I said default, and because I had messed with some of these things, it won't. I guess so, unless I have to literally select this and delete it, maybe, to get to a point. Are you sure you want to? Yeah. You're messing with things you ought not to be messing with, my friend. You ought not be messing with these things. This stuff should be at 0. Contrast should be at 0. Come on, you were there for a second ago. Bear with me, people. I'm trying to get things to 0. Or as close to 0 as possible. Saturation. Maybe just a little. And opacity. I don't really understand that. And the U shift. There should be no U shift. That should be 0. A little bit of saturation. Maybe. Brightness, no. Can't have too much brightness because... Anyway. So we start to show off. For 41 minutes into it. Some guy's using profanity. Shouting at his non-listener viewers. Maybe this will just be another one of those things that I don't post anywhere. You know, in other words, a show that has taken place that if you did tune in, you happen to see it. So, like, sometimes somebody tunes in towards the end for like 12 minutes. And, you know, and then that'll be that. They'll have to go back. I need to put an eye drop in this eye. It's like dry, sore, weird. Anyway. No, you know, you ever get to that point sometimes where you're just like, you just don't give a shit, you know, about anything. Yeah. Some people would call that a depression. No, it's not. No, it's called not giving a shit, really. You know, it's like looking at a world of illusion and realizing that it's just ridiculous. The Echo Dot. That thing is so dumb. And I'm sure the Apple one will be dumber. There's nothing wrong with your television set. We control all that you see and hear. You know? My book, no one buying, reading, has a couple typos in it. Fuckers. Damn programs, computers. Well, that's the end of the carafe. Coffee is, as they say, lukewarm. I have these things I need to buy. You could get vitamin D3, a D from sardines, supposedly. Oily fish. I mean, you also can get mercury. It's like tuna. They say you shouldn't eat it more like there's like so much mercury and toxins and stuff in this stuff. In other words, the sources of vitamin D in the off season, which is like now through like March or something into April in the northern hemisphere, is from sources that have toxins in them or supplements that they can't get us straight, like that don't work. You know, you can't win. Like, you know, in a country where the government thinks it's in charge of healthcare and they're telling you to mix and match these things, right? Different formulae, patents, substances, and all that stuff. So the question is, am I the only one that it dawned on? Am I like the guy who saw this U.S. government property, no trespassing? It's like, I thought we were the government in this country, right? How could there be U.S. government property? I mean, that would apply to some foreigner coming into the country, right? Or something, you know, at a U.S. embassy, you know, abroad, right? But the same with this thing. It's like, wait a second. If you can mix and match these things, that means they're not real. Right? I mean, follow that logic. I mean, do you understand? Like I said, I know nobody's going to watch this show, so it doesn't really matter. Nobody's watching it now. You can't have different things with different patents, different formulas, different ingredients, and say you can mix and match them. It's almost like coming out and admitting that there aren't, you know, placebos. So are they forcing people to, you know, in other words,
your papers, please.
They want papers to see if you took the placebo. Right? Because there's no, I mean, I don't care who you are. You could ask any, I mean, on camera or privately, ask any biologist, chemist. There's no way in hell you would do any you know, legitimate ethical doctor, biologist, chemist would give that kind of advice. And the people out there just don't even, I'm the only person out of 330 million or 350 million people questioning that. I mean, you've all got 16 to 20 years of education and you're not questioning that? Like, that's not like a light bulb going off? Like, whoa, wait a second. These are like completely different things. How can you mix and match them? Right? They mustn't be anything. It must be a saline solution they're putting in, you know, giving people. Right? I mean, what other conclusion can you get? Otherwise, it's the analogy I get. Open up a capsule of contact, dump half of the capsule out, open up a capsule of Dristan or some other thing, dump half that capsule out. Now put the other half of contact with Dristan together and then put it in your mouth and drink it down with some Robitussin, NyQuil, and some generic cough medicine. Is that the kind of advice that you would expect you would expect the media and the government to give you? Well, that's what they just did. That's what they just said. And you got 16 to 20 years of education, and that doesn't ring a bell in your head? The same with that doofus they found, you know. That was a double homicide, man. That was a frame job. I mean, come on. Haven't you watched enough crime drama shows? The number one thing on TV and on Netflix and on Amazon Prime and Hulu. I mean, that's all it is murder this, murder that, cop shows, right? Hospital cop shows, murder shows, murder mysteries, right? This country's obsessed. Hospital shows, doctor shows. This country's obsessed with that crap. I mean, you got a geriatric moron in office. And a laughing hyena is vice president. And believe me, Trump's no better, man. You got to lose that part. Lose that thing. Yeah. Save America. How could you, in other words, how could you save these people? Yeah, of course I'm included in the batch, right? But I don't count. I already took myself I'm off the radar. I'm out of the system. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I don't drive even. You know? I don't care about any of that stuff. I've been everywhere. I haven't nowhere to go. So yeah, I could talk objectively about it. You're going to try to save a bunch of people who have 16 to 20 years of education. Basically half their life almost, you know? Definitely a third of their life expectancy, right? In reality. So up to a third of their life expectancy on average, they spent in these indoctrination camps, right? Teaching this, conditioning their brain and teaching this dogma, whatever the heck it is. And you're listening to, and you accept what they say. Yeah, of course you're going to get a guy like me that comes off like a lunatic saying this stuff because it's enough to drive you. It's got to drive you mad. You know? It's, you've got to get mad.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
That's right. That's right. It's a frog, you say. It's a frog. That's right. Of course, then Jimmy Stewart in that stupid movie that's coming that they'll be playing 17,000 times again, It's a Wonderful Life. Does an angel get its wing when there's a bell ringing or something? That's right. Hey, wait a second. You sound like the frog. That's right. It's a frog, Shay. It's not about angels or anything. It's about the frog. It's the frog, Shay. But don't you sound like that Edward G. Robinson guy? That's right. Angel G. Robinson.
Really funny.
Okay.
Now that's funny. There's nothing wrong with your television set. We control all that you see and hear. You chose to watch this thing. I don't think anybody would stay this long, 54 minutes into the webcast. It's a frog, you see. You gotta have a sense of humor. My teeth were bothering me last night, but look at them. They're white and perfect. Makes no sense. Of course, I've got so many toxins in my lungs from trying to fix that roof. People are fucking nuts. Yeah, I'm nuts too. We're all fucking nuts. You know? because we don't know what's up, what's down, what's right, what's left. Everything you know is wrong. Everything we know is wrong. You don't know what you don't know. Freedom is fun. That's nice. It's not that much fun right now. The only thing on this screen that makes any sense at this current moment is game over. You know, and that they control everything we see and hear. Every day there are several news stories that are so blatantly, obviously either lies or just so off the wall that everyone should be talking about how off the wall and bizarre they are. But they're not. Instead, they're like in the team sports about it. I mean, there's fucking people that don't even know what that is. I mean, in a country where millions of people believe the earth is frickin' flat. Well, the Bible says it is. Yeah. It's got a dome over top of it, right? So why does CO2 matter then? How could you have a climate crisis if it's all being controlled? If you're in some kind of like dome thing. And there's a series of these dome things by these weird aliens. And the dome things are only really about this big, right? Right? And the overlords, God, well, God, you know, I mean, this is the thing. So, you know, people, they don't ask questions about stuff like that. Hey, you, what's okay, the world's flat in a dome. What's infinity? What does that mean? I don't know, but I went to college. I went to school for 12, 20 years. People say things, they hear things, they believe things, they repeat things, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's ridiculous. I don't know. It just blows my mind. I don't even know if I want to do this show anymore. You know? It's like getting up early, doing this. Nobody watching. You know, at least there was a couple, every now and then there'd be like one like or something. Something caught my mouth. Remnant of something. Disgusting. I had oats for breakfast. According to YouTube analytics, the average watch time was 8 seconds and there were 2 playbacks. So 4 seconds each. What's that? How's that possible? How's that possible? My head looks like an egg with this hat on. Perfect egg. I don't know. It's weird. Well, anyway, yeah, so I don't know, man. You tell me. So you can't believe anything you hear in the news. You can't believe anything coming out of the mouth of politicians. You can't believe anything coming out of big tech or any of those people because they're all, the media. It's all there. It's all, everybody's in it for the money. It's a corporatocracy. You can't believe anything coming out of the mouth of your friends. All right? Because they are watching all this stuff, listening to this stuff, and parroting whatever the hell they hear. They've got 16 to 20 years of indoctrination in them, too, so they don't know what the hell's going on. So you sit around and you question the obvious, right? And people look at you like you're a fucking crazy person, And you say, well, you are a crazy person.
I wonder if you might help us. You see, our car broke down a few miles up the road. Do you have a phone we might use?
There's just like a third playback, all right? And so the average watch time now is 5 seconds. So that person must have only came on. You see how it's affected the average watch time, 12 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And now, another Halloween safety tip. In case you become cornered by the living dead, always carry a spare live brain with you. Here you go. Thanks. Using your head may just save your life. This has been a Halloween safety tip. Have a safe and happy holiday.
Half my neighborhood has already decorated for Halloween. Now, of course, how do you trick or treat in the age of the plague? Right? Because you got, most people are still true believers, right? So you're going to trust taking candy from some stranger, neighbor? I mean, you get to wear a mask, obviously. Yeah. But, it's kind of weird. I really don't get it,
At this point, there is no really authentic way for us to say who or what to look for and guard yourself against. Misshapen monsters. Reaction of law enforcement officials is one of complete bewilderment at this hour. So far, we have been unable to determine that any kind of organized investigation is yet underway. Police, sheriff's deputies, and emergency ambulances are literally deluged with calls for help. The scene can best be described as mayhem. Mayor
So, yeah, people have 16 to 20 years education, and they're saying you can mix and match a patented formula. Now, the only conclusion, it's Occam's razor. It's a saline solution. It's a saline solution. All right? Because there's no other way you can mix and match different chemical formulation, especially ones that have such effects on the RNA, that create a protein and stuff. If that were the case, you couldn't mix and match that. Like I say, you don't mix and match cold medicines, let alone some sort of RNA patented formula with some other completely different one. One you needed only one thing of, another one you needed two. Now you need you can booster with any now. They're saline solutions. They have to be. Otherwise, they would be sending people to their deaths. Right? Don't you see that? 22 divided by 7, man. U.S. government property, no trespassing. U.S. government property, no trespassing. Yeah, I know. There's weird lights in my eye, and they're sparkling. That has to do with the alien that's possessed me. This is sheer and utter, like, unbelievable madness. And it's so blatantly obvious. But you have 16 to 20 years of education, and you don't see it. And I'm the frickin' lunatic. Right? Because I guffaw. Most ridiculous nonsense in the frickin' world. I mean, I'm telling you, you people are fucking nuts. That's right. Insult your viewers and listeners. I highly recommend it. It's the best way to assure yourself that you don't have to worry about anything. I'm not monetized. You know. So, I live in a scary place. It's haunted. But I don't care about that. The whole planet's haunted. The planet's haunted by billions and billions of ghosts. You know, the entire Earth is basically a prison planet. And it's being controlled by these overlords who basically get something called loosh from us. In other words, they feed off of this fear, anxiety, anguish, all this craziness. And they're basically in charge. That's the World Economic Forum. That's the Davos set. You know, David Icke was right. They're lizard fucking people. They're fucking lizard people. You know.
Don't forget to dress for the occasion.
Yeah. I scared that person away when I said David Icke and lizard people. Average watch time, 141. Yeah, I enjoy scaring people away. They'll never come back. They'll never come back. This is madness at 30 frames per second. Sorry, buddy, but David Icke was right. They're all lizard fucking people. You know, fuck them. And if they're not lizard people, what are they? Happy Halloween, you know? Or is this what you want?
Pieces out of his pumpkin patch and fly through the air with this bag of toys for all the children.
Yeah, right, kid. Shut up. You know?
Scream.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. I've lost my mind. I realized that this morning when I woke up that I lost my mind. I'm basically
taking you back to the realms and depths of time.
'Cause I got to go. 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 'Cause I'm not going to do anything with this show. It's about an hour into it. I may just end it. I don't know. Nobody bought a fucking shirt. Nobody bought a mug. Nobody's watching. People do watch. I say something stupid. They don't watch it to the conclusion. See, because they got short attention spans. You say David Icke was right about lizard people. And whether you're joking or not, or there's a punchline or something else comes up, they just like leave. Don't you have something better to do? Yeah. Go do something better. See, if I stop doing these shows, you could see I have like a beard growth under this lighting. See, it's hard to see sometimes. But I'll be able to just stop shaving altogether. You know, and just lay in bed and watch stuff.
Preparation. Go to a solitary place at midnight when the moon is new and strong.
Vincent Price, man, what a life he had. He was pretty fucking crazy if you think about it, you know. Anyway.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Well, I think we're going to end it soon, to tell you the truth. Let's look at the list here. Sardines, paper towels, mushrooms, tissues, witch hazel. That sounds weird. D3, broccoli, trash bags. I'm tired of having to worry about trash bags. So let's look here, and it says on the bottom of this D3, supports bone and immune system health. 25 mcgs, 1,000 IUs. Do you know that cost like about $11 for that? And I have yet to find anyone, I'm talking doctors who do these videos, presentations in front of other medical professionals at some kind of, medical events, seminars, whatever. And there's tons of stuff about vitamin D, and they talk about it. But they don't explain whether or not a vitamin D supplement works or not. The conclusion I've got from watching dozens and dozens of them is that the sun activates it or something. But that in the winter you can't get it. So you're supposed to have a vitamin D deficiency in the winter? This is why I say the internet is a piece of shit. Wikipedia is a fucking joke. Right? And AI is like GPT-3. That's like the thing they're using. AI is like connected to that, and like the Washington fucking Post. That's where it draws its information from. Basically something that is totally political and revised to fit whatever, they feel like making it fit. It's ridiculous. See, I can't play any of those songs. Or they like fuck with me. But you can play a second or two before they figure it out. I mean, that was the easy one. Yeah. Yeah. You can't do that either. You can't have fun. No fun allowed. Freedom is fun, but no fun allowed on online. Right? No fun allowed anywhere. Outside. Stay inside. Cover your face. No fun allowed. Here's one of my songs. Here's a club mix extra. So I know if I play this one, they can't get me because I never released this formally as a song. Yeah, it was this club mix extra for my song Beyond Infinity. See where my head's at. I was like selling these songs on like Android Music or something for like a nickel and a dime. For DJs to use in their clubs. Why not? Nobody wants to pay 99 cents for a song. And then these subscriptions to music services are ridiculously expensive. You gotta... When you hear a song like this, or this soundtrack behind me, you have to wonder about, I actually had to sit there and make this and do this. What was I doing while I was creating this? Because I created this live. This isn't some loop or something, you know? I'm sitting there with the keyboard, you know? Adding in these effects and stuff. And it's like 4 minutes and 10 seconds long. It's a long time to be jamming by yourself in this. For some reason, part of the arch of my foot hurts. And it did 2 days ago, but it didn't yesterday. So I thought, okay, well, that's good. But then this morning when I got out of bed, it did. I like kick something at the bottom of my bed or post or something. Well, it's hard to say. I don't know. "20 years ago, I did a webcast that was titled Humans as Pets. Could you imagine that? Nothing's really changed. That's what I keep trying to say to people. You know, I've been doing these things for 3 decades almost. All right? You know. And I've just watched things just spiral like lower and lower and lower and lower, you know? De-evolving. To the point that it's like I feel like such an extreme outcast. It's a good thing I'm locked away, but listen, let's listen to the beginning of this just as a laugh. This is why I used to do these shows 20 years ago. I used to, I used to smoke, chain smoke cigarettes and drink beer and stuff while I would do these shows. But here's like the intro of it.
Humans as pets. The topic for this week's discussion, which may prove to be the last one. What do I mean by humans as pets. When we look back at human intelligence,
it's just too much. See, that's where my head was at. But I was doing a bunch of these things, man. It was totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Yeah. The only difference between then and now was I used to have like 20,000 like live listeners and sometimes 100,000 people, over the course of the month listening in. And that was 20 years ago, which shows you how down this whole thing has become. And the quality of those things was really crappy too, because it was real audio. Real audio sucked. I mean, you had real media and you could up the bandwidth and all that kind of stuff, but it was hard. You didn't really want to do it because most people didn't have the ability to receive high bandwidth webcasts. They would keep buffering on them and then they wouldn't listen. So I used to like send my stuff at like a couple of K, had it down to a science. And especially when you were doing voice, like you hear how empty that sounded, but I mean, you could hear me. Some of our music broadcasts, we used to push them a little bit higher. But yeah, if you didn't have a good connection to the internet, because most people had dial-up, 20 some years ago. And so people are spoiled now with all this, high bandwidth Wi-Fi and all this kind of stuff, and cell, they're listening to stuff through cell, 4G, 5G. It's like that line in David Byrne Talking Head songs. I don't believe there are any Russians. Right? No, that's not. And there ain't no Yanks. Maybe that's not a talk. Maybe that was that band that like had that song that sounded like Talking Heads. For what band was that? I forget. I don't know. Well, supposedly the king of pop culture. What was that? I don't know. Well, Christmas season's coming up.
You're really Santa Claus, you can get it for me. And if you can't, you're only a nice man with a white beard, like Mother said.
Now, for a little change in pace, we've sent Johnny Mercer up to the bandstand to join Paul Weston and the Pied Pipers in a nostalgic song of Christmas time. Winter Wonderland.
I got all this stuff, man. It's ridiculous. And you can't play it. You cannot play it. Because if you play it, you get a copyright strike. I already have like a warning. I got a warning. This eye still needs a drop in it. Yeah. I have all these really cool mixes, I've got from the oldies, to the rock party stuff. See, if you play 1 second of something, they can't do anything about it. As far as I know. I mean, at least I see these other, like Hannah Dugan gets away with it. She gets away with like 6 seconds, I think. think he could play like 6 seconds or something. I don't know what the total, what it really is.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
You know, that's how I feel. So it's 6:09 in the morning. I don't think I'm going to like publicize this on any social media, this show. It'll just exist. Some people will find it and they'll see me starting out using the F word like a lunatic, criticizing things. A theatrical performance, right? Criticizing, not understanding. Manic depressive or something, they'll say. What's that other thing they call people? It's like manic depressive. There's some other thing, you know, where you jump from being like, you know, crazed, you know, to like depressed. I'm tired. I think I'm not going to do the show anymore. Right? To the point of like, you know, laughing and going crazy. Bipolar. That's it. They'll say, you know, that guy's a manic depressive or bipolar or something like that. Yeah, he needs help. He shouldn't be on. He shouldn't be on these, you know, doing this stuff. And he's criticizing these things. He said it was a saline solution. Just saying. If you take Dristan and mix it with Contact and chug it down with NyQuil, I don't think that's such a good idea. I don't think your doctor is going to approve of that. And I don't recommend you do a thing like that. But I see these other people are kind of, and you know what? And the results of that might not be, you know, might not affect your RNA, DNA, or create proteins in you, you know, whatever. They would just basically probably just make your, you know, make you stop coughing and sneezing. It's crazy, man. See, I don't understand how the government suddenly got in charge of, like, healthcare. Like, when did that law pass? Right? Right? You know? When did that law pass? I don't recall hearing that. I don't see that in any of the, you know, Bill of Rights or the Constitution. The government shall dictate health care among, you know, the owners of the country. Government property, no trespassing. What the fuck are you talking about? The government, the people, are the government. Right? You know, how do these people, like, you know, like Nancy Pelosi actually thinks she's like better than you? Right? She's not. She's just a person. She's a student council representative. Right? That's what she is. She's a middle school student council representative. She's an errand boy for grocery clerks. Right? You know that line? That's what Biden is. He's an errand boy for grocery clerks. Grocery store clerks. The President of the United States is an errand boy for grocery store clerks. Think about that. You know, it always pisses me off when I hear somebody say, it's the leader of the free world. The free world. What free? Where's the free world? You know where the free world is? Within these four walls. This is a free world here. You know? If you want to truly be free, you have to like detach yourself as much as possible from the corporatocracy. And I'll tell you, I'm as detached as you can be, but I'm still connected. There's still like an umbilical cord, you know, because they've got their tentacles. That umbilical cord is one of their tentacles, you know, because there's always something, you know, a water and sewer bill. You know, I'm a month behind on my water and sewer bill, but the water and sewer, I showed you that thing. Was that my daily photo? I took this yesterday afternoon. This was outside of my house after the digging. If you look really closely at this picture, this photo, all right? Forget the railing on my porch. Let's enlarge this thing. This guy on this stupid thing bigger. You see, that's not a curb behind him. You know, he's not right. See, if you look closely, the wheels in the foreground that's like they dug down like 10 inches or a foot, about 10 inches or something. And so he's on this mini, you know, steamroller, or whatever they call them these days. Not really run by steam. He's on this mini, you know, flattener. See, because the curb is that thing behind. See, there's a sidewalk way to the back. See that shiny gray, brownish shit? And then there's a lawn, then there's a sidewalk and a lawn. Well, that's the curb there. The gray is the curb. No, they dug out this thing down. They went down like about, I don't know, a couple of feet first. Then they start refilling this with, you know, macadam, asphalt, whatever. I don't know what the hell this shit is they're using these days. Because they had the pipes that they fixed 3 different times were fucked up. This is my picture. I took this yesterday. That's my railing in front of my frickin' house. This fucking guy. My house was shaking. All right, when they were digging that out. And they only got a little bit further up from where he is right now, which means today they'll be, my house will be shaking because they'll be just digging about, another 8-10 feet up the road. They got to keep going all the way up. People don't know what the fuck they're doing. So the people that have the jobs don't know what the fuck they're doing. But it's our infrastructure. And so they talk about these infrastructure bills, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. You want to print money, create money out of thin air and all that jazz. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, it's nuts, it's insane. Yeah, hyperinflation, the whole shit house of cards has fallen down because of the central banking system. Fine and dandy. But the idea is, yeah, fix the infrastructure. I'm all for it. It's falling apart, man. But they don't know what they're doing. Nobody has any skills anymore. It's a generalization, of course. But not enough people have the skills, should I say. All these people went to college. And they got these degrees in like such and such studies. Right? Pronoun studies or something, right? Issues, such and such issues. They got these degrees. They can't do anything with them. There's no need for them. You know, there's some companies that will hire them temporarily in the next year, or that have hired them some people this year, you know, during this, you know, crazy time of where everybody's trying to look like they're like what they call woke. I call them yoke. Because anybody who starts talking like that, as far as I'm concerned, all I see is a big egg on their face. Yoke culture. All right? Yoke. They're yoked. So these people got you know, so they'll lose those jobs soon enough. Most of the jobs that exist, I saw some stuff, man. They have these robots now that could pick strawberries. That's like what that was one of the big migrant worker things, or like these more of these delicate type of things, right? They were still using these people who'd come over the border, migrant workers, they call them, right? Oh, we need our migrant workers, you know, they're crucial to the farmer. Not really. There's a whole series of robots coming out that like they've been designing them. And they could pick strawberries. They know when that they're so sensitive that they can tell if the strawberry is fresh enough to be harvested, and if not, pass over that. And they go through the fields without damaging anything. So farming is like totally going to be taken over completely by robotics. So what are you going to do with those 2 million people that just came in the country this year alone? And these other migrant workers that are expecting, like, you know, to be doing this back and forth thing. I don't know. And these McDonald's and Jack in the Boxes are closing down all their stores, half their stores. Some other place. What was that? Some other place. It was in the news, or somebody was talking about it in some city out in California. Maybe it was Ruben talked about that. Walgreens or one of those places closed down X amount of stores, and the government was trying to justify it, saying, well, they are consolidating or something. But the reason they were closing them down, because California has this law where they won't prosecute anyone who steals like anything less than $900 or something like that. So people just we're going into these Walgreens and just taking, you know, just filling up you know, their backpacks and everything with whatever they needed. And you're not allowed to do anything to them because the cops wouldn't arrest them. In other words, they legalize shoplifting. So you have California, you know, and I know, and again, I was into this yesterday a little bit, which is probably a turn off to people. So they legalize pot, right? And they legalize shoplifting. All right. But it's it's illegal, but you got to wear a fucking mask or something. I mean, I don't know. You can't go out into a park and breathe fresh air. I don't know. But you can like smoke dope and shoplift. Smoking dope. You want smoking dope? You want smoking dope? No, some pot. I want pot. Yeah, smoking dope. Smoking dope. The guy meant crack. That was some guy in New York when I lived there one time, trying to score some weed. Smoking dope. No, not smoking. No, not that. Pot, weed, marijuana. Smoking dope. What do you do with all the morons and the gangbangers and all that stuff? People just ignore. Like the city of Chicago. Law enforcement in Chicago. Right? It's just like murder's out of control. And they talk about like they try to take guns and have hard gun laws, and these people end up using knives to kill people. They stab people. It's like that story I showed you today. You know, it was in the news for months, and it turns out this guy's dead. You know, the guy they accused of the thing. Yeah, you know. So the next thing is they'll like say it'll be like an Epstein thing. Or something. It's like, I doubt it. I think the murderer's still out there. I think this was a double homicide by a serial killer. That's my theory. It's obvious. I watch enough of these stupid shows. I've just been watching like the second or third season of that show, You. That couple that are both killers, right? And they just did this. They just framed somebody. You know, I mean, it basically, it seems to me that the serial killer got the idea from this, from You, which is like the number one show on Netflix now, I think. Right? So it would make sense that this serial killer is aware of this. And so he took this storyline and the news is covering it. No, it's not that one. Where is it? The news. I mean, I thought this whole thing was kind of fishy to begin with. You know, I still like was saying like, well, why are you covering a story about if there's 19,000 homicides in the country a year, most of which go unsolved? Why is this one being like making the news? You know, what about those like dozens of people who die, you know, are killed every weekend in Chicago? Like, why isn't that like, what about them? So, like New York City is the same way. There's so many unsolved murders up in New York. But this is in Philly, Atlanta, you know, even down in Dallas, you know, all kinds of, you know, everywhere. Miami, you know. Nothing's changed in Miami from like Miami Vice days. Like people think, do you think that's changed? Right? That was just a TV show? Right? Yeah, it was like a 30-year-old TV show or something like that. You think it's gotten worse? It hasn't gotten better. Right? The Tarantino movie, you know, with Travolta I mentioned the other day. What the hell's the name of that stupid thing? The one that brought Travolta back. Where he was doing the dance with the girl. You know what I'm talking about. I just can't think of it. Well, like, that's like, do you think that's fantasy? I mean, that's what it's like. You know, that's how these people are. You know, people have no idea, like, what goes on. When you hear these sirens and you see these cop cars going, I mean, they pass my street and I'm on the outskirts of town, and they're like daily, nightly, there's something going on. Now think about that. Tens of thousands of boroughs, townships, cities, you know, when you comprise all of the places where people are, you know, make up this 330 million or 350 million, whatever it is. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody's counting because the people who don't want to be counted aren't being counted. Right? They're not counting them. They don't knock on your door anymore. Right? Last year was COVID. They did not, you know, they were taking the thing. People were like doing it by mail or online and stuff like that. Right? Do you think like, you know, do you think tens of millions of people? See, I remember like the last census year, because I was living in this other building, and I had built like a condo type of apartment in the basement. I had this bar. It was really a funky place. I had office upstairs, but I had this side part that I made the front looked like kind of a house. I mean, like a townhouse entrance type of thing. But there was nothing in there. It was an office. It was something I was going to use as a future office space. But it had like a little mailbox and a planter in front of it and a door that looked like a door to a townhouse type of thing. It was like attached to my office. And this woman who was doing the census came by and, well, who lives here? And I said, nobody. I said, it's not a unit. Is it what's the address of it? And I said, it has no address. This is just my building. I just thought I'd dress it up and make it look nice for the neighborhood. And for future use, I may use it as an office space. But I haven't registered with the post office. It doesn't have an address or anything like that. Eventually I did, actually, because I ended up using that office. Because I rented the other side, and I ended up using that other side as an office. But I had to go through the post office, and that was a pain in the ass, arguing with the postmaster about this because the mailman wasn't like putting the mail where he should have put it, It's like, but luckily she was like a no-nonsense postmaster, and she like took care of it. She read the guy the Riot Act, apparently. So I started getting my mail. But I'm just saying that was when they were coming around with people were going in person. Nobody ran around this time. It's like COVID. People don't know how many people are living in this country. People don't know how many murders there are in this country. Assaults. People don't know anything about anything. The government guesstimates about everything. They're all a bunch of charlatans, liars, fakers. All the people in the media are multi-millionaires. The politicians are doing insider trading. They're multi-millionaires. The bureaucrats in Washington are all making 6 and 7 figures, right? We have runaway inflation, basically hyperinflation. Bitcoin is like getting ridiculous. Let me just look and see a new window here if I can. I know my computer's like acting weird. New window. Let's see. Bitcoin value today, $62,945. So it's $63,000. $63,000. And it was like 61 and change, just last week. So if someone would have bought Bitcoin last week, I mean, if you had would have had the 61,000, you could have made almost $2,000 in 1 week on one transaction. And that's what these big players are doing because they've got millions of dollars so they could buy like 1,000 Bitcoin, right? And turn 1,000 Bitcoin 1,000 times 2,000, right? What is that? I don't know. It's too many zeros for me to figure out. Let's put the old calculator on. 1,000 times 2,000. $2 million they would have made in less than a week. Imagine that. Do you know how many people probably did that? Make $2 million in 1 week. Simple transaction. Of course, it's getting harder. I think it's probably getting harder to find Bitcoin because you have to find it, because Bitcoin has to be created through this, solving of this formula. But I think there's a lot of Bitcoin out there, or there's still enough of it that you can get it if you wanted it. $2 million. You could have made $2 million if you were, if you had money. But you would have to have had, But I mean, these guys have millions and millions. And that's who the traders are. And that's what this whole game is. That's the same with like Pelosi's old man and stuff. It's like you don't make $5 million on a trade unless you had enough money to buy, X amount of shares of a particular stock or whatever the heck, Apple stock, I think it was, that the Pelosi family traded, made $5 million on a trade. But Apple stock isn't cheap. It's like, I could look at it now. Is it 300 or is it like more ridiculous? Let's see. Apple stock price today. Apple Inc. $149 US. Okay. So in order to make $5 million on a trade, you got to buy a lot of Apple stock, right? So who has that? Because if I buy one share and the stock price goes up 10%, right? 10%, 150, say round it out to 150 a share, and 10% of that's $15. So I'm not, that's a long way from 5 million profit on a share. You see what I'm saying? So how much money do the Pelosi's really have? Right? And does she really understand that she's just one of us? No. She doesn't think she is one of us. She thinks she's somebody special. I know this looks like I have something on my, it's just the colorization of my mustache there. There's nothing there. It's not like it's salt and peppery thing. Anyway, I guess that's the end of this show. Like I said, I'm not going to publicize this show. It exists. I mean, there are some interesting things along the way. I call it the boredom beater, right? If you got nothing better to watch, I'm an interesting enough character, right? I think. Good morning. Why not? And I'll just, even though it's a exercise in futility, I'll put this up here. You can go to TonyCaravanLive.com. You can go to RockFLUX.com. Hey, if you're one of those locals people who discovered me and then you thought, maybe I'll check it out, and you saw today's show, of course you wouldn't have made it to this part. And now you realize that I'm an idiot. But whatever. If you don't think I'm a total idiot, buy my book, Then What? It's my 10th book. Or go to Great Solar Stuff and get some stuff to get you through the winter. Or buy that shirt, Freedom is Fun. Why not? Why not?